In this video, I'm going to show you how to use undeposited funds the right way in Zoho Books. Hey everyone, my name is Stephanie Smith and I am a Zoho Finance Partner at New Light Financial Solutions. Here at New Light Financial Solutions, we are on a mission to help demystify business finances as well as partner with as many business owners as possible to help them have a growing and more profitable business. Thank you so much for joining us on our YouTube channel today. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. Now let's dive in. If you've been using Zoho Books for any period of time, you might have noticed the account called Undeposited Funds. And if you have started using Zoho Books after using another accounting software like QuickBooks Online, you might also have noticed that it doesn't quite function the same way as it does in other places. So I want to talk to you about what the purpose is for undeposited funds and how to make sure you're using it correctly. So the whole point of undeposited funds, if you go to your banking tab, you'll be able to see an undeposited funds account on your bank feed. This account automatically comes with Zoho. It's one of the default accounts. And its intended purpose is basically a holding account. So when someone pays you, the easiest example is if someone pays you with a check, you're going to receive that check and you've received that payment, but you still have time between that point and when you go to the bank and actually deposit the check. So you want to record that payment to undeposited funds because you haven't deposited it yet, and then you will match that transaction to your bank once it actually goes into the bank feed. So I'll show you how this whole process works, and I'll give you some tips on how to make sure you don't add duplicate payments and other things to your accounts when using Zoho Books. So for the purpose of this video, let's say that I have a couple of invoices and I want to put those payments to undeposited funds. So you're going to open up your invoice. I'm going to record a payment here. Let's say the payment date is today. This person paid me via check. And I'm going to, under the deposit account, select undeposited funds. So this means I've gotten the check and I haven't deposited yet. I'm just going to save this one as paid. And I'm going to do that again. So I have another invoice. I'm going to record a payment. And again, I'm going to make it a check. And I'm going to select undeposited funds. And I'm going to save that as paid. If I go back to my undeposited funds account on my banking tab, you will see that the customer payments that I just put in are right here. So my customer payments are here. I'm going to take both of these checks to the bank and then I'm going to deposit them. So what ends up happening after this is the transaction of this deposit shows up on your bank feed. And I'll open up my bank feed. Let's go back to the banking tab, open up my checking account, and you'll see here's $950. That's for the two transactions that I had just added, those two payments. If I click on this, normally if you had picked this account when you record your payments, you would be able to match them. But there's no match here. And I will tell you right here, the number one problem that people have with their books and the mess with undeposited funds is they will go ahead and categorize this transaction as maybe sales without invoices or a customer payment. And they will end up adding a duplicate payment to their account because you've already recorded the other one to undeposited funds. And if you go through this route, you're going to record a second payment to your books. You don't want to do that. What you'll want to do, since you can't match to the payments, is you're going to add a transaction. And if you scroll down into the money in section, you'll want to do deposit from other accounts. So I'm going to make a deposit and I'm going to use another account to do that. So if I do that, I can put in my date, I can put in the amount, and I can say I've received this via check. If it's one customer, you could put a customer in here. But most importantly, from this from account, you're going to select undeposited funds. So you're essentially putting a transaction on the books that's saying, I want to take money out of undeposited funds and put it into this account. If you were to go to the bank and have a deposit slip, you could use that and attach it here, upload it to this particular transaction, and then you're going to click Save. Now, when I click on the this transaction here, you will see that deposit that I just made. So now I can match it to that deposit from another account. So I'm going to click Match here. And then that way it does not show up as a duplicate on my books, but it is a match. And if I go back to the undeposited funds account from my bank feed or my bank page, you'll see that I have a customer payment. Here's my other customer payment. And now I have that deposit that is moving my money out of undeposited funds and into my bank account. So that is the general use for undeposited funds. If you are used to using QuickBooks Online, normally you would log your payments. They would go to undeposited funds, and then you would use what is called a bank deposit, add new bank deposit. And then you would select all the transactions that you have in your bank deposit, and then you would log that bank deposit and match in your feed. As of the recording of this video, Zoho Books does not have a function like that. So this is the closest thing that can happen. It's essentially like a holding account. If you have Stripe connected or PayPal connected, a lot of the times those clearing accounts show up, and that's really what undeposited funds shows up as. It's a clearing account. Now, I did want to show one other thing that might come up. So let's say that you have a customer payment that you receive, you put it to undeposited funds, but maybe there was a bank fee or some sort of fee, and the money that was deposited into your account might not have been the same amount. So I've already recorded a customer payment here, this $175, just like I did the first two earlier, to undeposited funds. If I go back to my bank account and I look for the transaction, you can see here's a deposit. It's $170. It's not an identical match because I didn't receive the whole payment because of that bank charge. What you can do if this is something that happens is similar to what we did with the other transaction. We're going to add the deposit from the other account. This was earlier. Let's say this was a check of some sort, and I'm going to do from undeposited funds, and it's for $175 because that was the full payment amount. I want to take that full payment amount out of undeposited funds, and we're going to put it in the right place here. So I'm just going to click Save. Now when I go to click on this transaction, you'll see a possible match for $175. So I'm going to select that. However, you can see down here that I'm -5 is the difference, right? Because I made a deposit. I'm matching to a $175 transaction, but what came in from the bank is only $170. So what happened to the $5? What you'll do is just create a new transaction. It's a withdrawal. We're going to put it to bank fees, and it's that $5. We're going to click Save, and now it's 0. So there's now an expense for the $5 bank fee, and then we're going to move everything over from undeposited funds to make sure that our undeposited funds account isn't growing unnecessarily. So I'm going to click Match here. And again, I'll go back to the undeposited funds account, and you can see now this $175 customer payment went in, and that $175 came out, and you can see that that my running balance with the things that I've done so far is $0. So that's how you would use undeposited funds if you also have any kind of bank fees or charges associated. There's a couple of things that I want to call out because one of the most common issues we see when we're doing cleanup projects on books is related to payments and undeposited funds. So if you have a lot of different payments coming into undeposited funds, this may not necessarily be the best way to keep up with everything on your books. it's really hard to reconcile undeposited funds especially when you have multiple payments that get put into one deposit, kind of like I did here. So this 500 and this 450 is this 950. But if you kind of have sporadic payments and you don't always go to the bank right away, or you have a lot of deposits that are all lumped together, there's no way to tell in this method that this $500 actually ever got deposited, because it goes in here and it gets summed with another amount, and then the 950 comes out. So it's not always the recommended practice that I like to use. So a lot of the times what I'll do for my clients is I'll start by logging things to undeposited funds, and then I'll actually go back into the payment and pick the bank feed. And then from the bank, I will select those specific transactions instead of doing this kind of transfer from undeposited funds. I call that out because, as you can see here, it's not always one amount goes in and that same amount comes out right afterwards. It could be one amount goes in, a different amount goes in, that a different amount comes out, and a different amount comes out. So it's hard to see that when that running balance ends up being zero. Another issue that I've encountered quite often is if there's some kind of system integration and there's an issue and multiple payments get made, it's really hard to determine which payment was the multiple payment when you're using undeposited funds in this way. But I call that out so you can see what's going on. And if you see that your undeposited funds account is growing instead of shrinking, it should always even itself out at some point in time, right? Because you're putting money in and you're taking money out. And if that's not the case, then you have something wrong with how you're recording all of the transactions in your books. So if you think you might have a problem with undeposited funds, another recommendation I have is you can go to the reports tab here. If you scroll down and you go to the accountant section here under account transactions, you can run this report. If you click this more filters option, you can select the account is in and actually pick undeposited funds. Run that report for whatever time period, and then you'll be able to get all of the transactions that are in and out of this report and export them to Excel. And if you needed to use Excel to figure out what's going in and what's coming out, then that's a little easier than just looking at what's in Zoho Books. And if you're comfortable with doing it, you can also put it in something like ChatGPT and ask for ChatGPT's help to say, somewhere along the way there's duplicates. Can you help me find that money that's come in and hasn't gone out? So I just throw that out there as a tip if you're trying to figure out what's wrong with your undeposited funds account. Otherwise, that's really all I wanted to share when it comes to undeposited funds. I hope that this was helpful. If you feel like you have more questions specific to your books, I want to offer the opportunity to schedule a call with us, and we'd be happy to walk through specific problems with you and your books. And if you are interested in getting tips on how to grow your business and keep more of the cash that you're making, I'd love for you to sign up for our newsletter, where we send out exclusive content that you won't find anywhere else. I'll put links to all of that in the description box. Thanks again for watching this video, and I hope to see you again on the next one.